Boxing is an inherently dangerous sport, and it's difficult to make it safer without losing some of the great things that we love about it. The combat, the blows, the collisions, the exchanges. But there are advancements in technology and methods of looking after the fighters. And we've been talking to the fighters and our partners at Protect to look at how the future of boxing could be and what it might look like. Where do you see the advancements and evolution in boxing coming from to protect fighters?
I think technology and understanding that data that we get from it is massive in terms of helping the welfare of fighters. We've done quite a lot of work in boxing, and by understanding what these fighters do in competition and in training really informs how they recover and also how you prepare for a fight.
I think there are advances all the time. Sports science, like all sciences, whether it's medical science, chemical science, whatever, it's moving every single day, and there are advances being made. You know, we're working with a company now, Protect. We're making great strides in, athlete protection through the information and the data that they feed back from the gum shield that you wear.
A huge step forward in the protection of fighters is the instrumented mouthguard. The Protect mouthguard we are using in boxing, and it is giving us some amazing results which will help the ringside doctors diagnose any brain injury, any concussion, and help treat that concussion after the fight.
I like the idea of the gum shields we were talking about earlier. I think they're a good idea. The judging will be better, because obviously sometimes it goes a bit skew-whiffed, doesn't it? So, and you're going to see where the punches are landing.
Oh, listen, football has VAR, so we need VAR in boxing. I think there's been some controversial decisions for eternity. You know, I'm old enough to remember Mike Tyson, not just Tyson Fury, and I grew up with boxing and love it, but there's always been some controversial decisions. But technology has moved on so much now, it's almost unforgivable it's not in the boxing world.
To be able to identify at the end of the fight, how hard you've been hit and how many times, it gives information on where to take your training in future.
And I think if there is technology that enables people to know how hard they've been hit, when they've been hit, then it's the VAR. So when there is a controversial decision, maybe we throw it out to technology just to back that up, which sometimes it of course will. But love it or hate it, I think we need to start really looking at technology to make the sport particularly clean and safe.
How important is it to gather data on each fight and assess your strengths and your weaknesses?
Data helps recreate the story of what actually happens, and the more granular data you can get, the better you can recreate that story. And by story I mean, what actually happened in that fight and why it happened.
What fighters lack is defensive data, where they've been hit, how hard they've been hit, and where their weaknesses are from a defensive point of view.
Well, George would always make me watch my fights afterwards and go through your mistakes and go through the things that you've done well and things to work on. And we always would sit down and just assess it ourselves, and he would pick out, your strengths, your weaknesses. We move forward from there. We'd write it all down, take it all into account, and then we'll put it into practice in the gym.
You got to map out where you're going to go. And I mean, if you're fighting a certain guy or a certain woman, you got to know their strengths or weaknesses. If you don't, you're basically you're disadvantaging yourself.
By understanding why it happened and how it happened from a boxer's point of view, you can obviously improve, but from a welfare point of view and understanding weaknesses and intensity of impacts and why those things happened is really powerful to their understanding.
The more information you get, the better decisions you can make, the more informed you are, the further you can move forward. So yeah, whatever you can get to keep the coaches informed, the managers informed, and know where somebody is physically is always a benefit.
This is a huge advantage to them if they know what's happening in sparring and in the fight.
Yeah, analysing the videos and the footage is a big part of my training camp and what we do. My coach is great at that. He'll take things away. He'll phone me up. I've looked at this, you've done this right, you've done that wrong, we need to improve on this. This is what I've got in place for the next session.
Obviously, whenever Lauren fights or she spars, we gather a lot of data from that and we just go over stuff. That helps a lot, because then you can see where you can improve, or you might want to do this, you might want to do that, so yeah.
Talk us through emerging tech and what it actually does.
I think the most frustrating thing in boxing and in all women's sports actually is you can't just take an item of male box or male equipment and then make it smaller and make it pink. So as they say, pink it and shrink it doesn't count. It needs proper research. Women's hands are incredibly different. Their bone structures are different. Therefore, boxing gloves should be different. Their feet are different. Our arches are in different places. So therefore, the boots should be different. There's a world which we're moving into where this becomes a proper mainstream sport. And, you know, women's sport as a whole is on the increase, but boxing is now the largest growing sport, both domestic and professionally. And I think it's those moments that are just super important that we have the right equipment to do the right job.
So Protect is an impact monitoring system. Basically, it's a mouth guard with embedded sensors in there, and that measures the volume, so the number of impacts that athlete gets, but also the intensity and a wide variety of other variables. On top of that, then we have a quite sophisticated AI system that then understands and interprets what's actually happening from a welfare point of view, so the strain placed on the brain, to then what happens from a performance point of view and why those certain things happened.
It's fitted into a mouth guard because that securely fits to the base of your skull and doesn't move around. So the data we get from the mouth guard is incredibly accurate. It's really the software that sits behind the mouth guard that works out the strength of the punches, the angles of the punches, that's really the huge breakthrough in this field.
I think the Protect system's a twofold thing. Firstly, it's a welfare product, obviously, and it helps protect the athletes. Secondly, there is an integrity part there, because if the Gum Shield technology is telling you one story and a judge, you know, like we had in the Joshua fight the other night, decided he's going to tell you a different story, there's a piece of data there that should hold people accountable. So I think it does have a place. The real big question is do the people at the top want that accountability?
I think not just necessarily technology, I think some of the safeguarding is really important. So women obviously have to wear breast coverings and protection. And we know Ebony Bridges, who's got a breast enhancement, which is very rare in boxing. However, that sort of thing's really important, and the technology now that's looking into how that can be shaped, how it can be kept light, and how it can move on is vitally important as more and more people step into this remit. The boxing height is very safe. The belt is safe for a man's, protects the men's crown jewels, but hits into a woman's ovaries. So how do we know? And technology can understand when we measure it, when we look at it, when we do research around it, as to how dangerous or not dangerous that is, and then it can address those things moving forward. So we make sure we've got the right equipment for the right fight, for the right safety.
What benefits are there to fighters of gathering data?
Every fighter wants to know after the fight how well they've done, how many punches they've took, and how it's good to know that the impact of the punches that you're recovering from too. It's good to know that you can come back from being hit with good shots, and sometimes Jared would say to me, even after sparring, like, do you not feel you could hit with a body shot? And I would, no. Just certain things like that where you would like to actually really know like the impact of what you're taking.
I had her sparring last week against a guy who was quite a lot bigger than her, and for me outside the ring watching the spar, he hit her a couple of good shots to the body, and after the spar I was going, did you not feel those punches? And she said, no, I didn't even know he'd hit me. And I says, well, I thought they were big shots. So it would be good for me as a coach to be able to analyse that data and go, well, jeepers, she can take those kind of punches. Not that you want to be taking them, but if push comes to shove, it's not belly dancing, it's boxing. So you are going to get hit, So it would be nice to know the actual power that's in the punch that you're being hit with, and obviously then how your fighter adjusts to those type of punches. So I think it would be great, yeah.
If that shows you that you're always getting caught with a specific right hand, then you're going to make sure that you do drills within your next training camp to prevent that from happening. It's always about pushing forward and progressing, and I feel like having that data behind your back, you could actually do that, and it would definitely benefit you.
Can digital technology help to make boxing a fairer and a cleaner sport?
On fight night it would be good, because boxing is obviously scored via the clean punch, and someone can be coming at you with a load of punches, say 4, 5, 6 punches, but they've actually all hit the gloves. So if you had the gum shield in and it's telling you exactly how hard they're hitting or how many times they're being hit, then I think, yeah, it could definitely give a more fairer outlook on that fight, and get better decisions going forward.
It's been well publicised, some of the work we've done with the IBA and understanding what happens with the judging. Having real-time data with live reporting is essential, and through our advanced AI and algorithms we're actually able to understand and predict what outcome the fight would have, and also what variables those judges actually score. So it will aid in the decision making and help make that a bit more of a VAR for the sport.
Yes, I think a good example of this is when a boxer gets cut. And it's very difficult for the referee and the judges to tell whether the cut has occurred via a headbutt or via a punch. And that can be really important in the outcome of the fight.
If we give it a sense from a welfare point of view, if we understand what normal is in competition and in training, and we have a ringside doctors and we see those athletes experience impacts and intensity that are well outside their range, you've got that information from that data to actually make an informed decision on what you need to do.
The other huge advantage of the Protect system is that the software is so sophisticated, it doesn't just tell you about how many times you've been hit, it tells you what direction you've been hit in, how hard you've been hit. It can tell whether a punch has been deflected, whether you've been hit in the chest, whether you've been hit in the abdomen, or whether you've been headbutted. So all these things together can help referees and judges understand more about what has happened during the fight and allow much more accurate decisions to be made.
I feel like it will make it a lot cleaner as well, just for the likes of Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, like fights like that where the media may have seen a different side of the story, but obviously if you've got that data underneath your belt, then that'll just show that it'll be a lot cleaner. And obviously you can't say that the score's wrong if the data is obviously there and it's proven.
Absolutely fascinating. Could a VAR system in boxing create fairer judging for the fighters who, after all, are putting it all on the line? And also, can advancements in technology, in safeguarding, help our fighters as they go forward, keep them well in what is always going to be an inherently dangerous sport for all of them? So you've met our fighters, you've heard their stories, you see how they prepare for these great occasions. Come and watch it live on the BBC iPlayer on the night of October the 7th, here at the Magna Centre. Unified Promotions, Women of Steel.